As we continue to talk about what it means for us to be active in our community, we're bringing back a good friend of ours and Pastor Ben Hoyer from Orlando, Florida. How you doing, Ben?
Doing great, Dan. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So I really want you to have a part of this conversation because you are somebody and you are the son of somebody who has spent an entire life really investing in the benefit of the community. And I think about you, I think about your brother, I think about your dad, and just the awesome positive godly influence that Holy Cross and Lake Mary has been for decades. And you've always been a part of it. As long as you've been alive, right? You've been a
Yeah.
part of this ministry, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. So, one of the challenges that we have in Genesis and working with congregations is that when things get hard and we get fearful about our future, we have a tendency as human beings, and I would also say as countries, as congregations, as organizations, to turn inside to ourselves. We start looking inside for the answers. But God doesn't call us to go deeper inside of ourselves. He calls us out of ourselves. And St. Paul goes so far in Ephesians after describing the unconditional and undeserved love of God. In Ephesians chapter 2, he says that we were redeemed in a sense to do the good works that God has created and prepared in advance that we would walk in them. And so, as a pastor who has always, as long as you've been alive, even before you were a pastor, been super involved in the community, what benefit or what blessing do you see when we get outside of ourselves and we get out in the community as God's people? What does that look like in your life?
Yeah, dude. I think that that's a really good question, and in different church situations or settings, it takes different formulations. For me, it really got down to like I was planting this venue or this worship location for our multi-site ministry, and realized that if I just cared about people just enough to get them to come to my thing, if my real motivation was getting people to show up somewhere on Sunday morning or preserving an institution, I might find different strategies to do that, different marketing techniques, different ways to get people in the building and preserve an institution, all the while dying on the inside. And I thought I'd rather become a person like Jesus and leave the life of the church to him. It's his church. And then either way, whether my church fails or succeeds, at least I haven't missed the opportunity to become a person like Christ in the world. And so for me, like the getting outside of the building, getting outside of the ministry is really about not wanting to abandon my personal growth and discipleship as a human for the sake of preserving an institution. You know, Christ was in the business of institutional preservation. He was in the business of like kingdom creation by personal regeneration. And so for me, I'm like, I want to root out the parts of my heart that are callous and greedy and miserly and open up the parts of my heart that are loving, service minded, generous, humble. And the best way to do that is in action. It's not an academic exercise, it's an action exercise. And so find brokenness, find people you can serve, find places to be like Christ in your city and neighborhood.
And so, as I'm listening to what you were saying, one of the things I'd like to kind of revisit and for us to pick up on is the idea that Jesus came literally from heaven to earth to empty himself in service, right? Like that's the basic part of the Christian message. He empties himself that in his poverty we would be made rich. He dies so that we would live, right? The innocent one is condemned so that we can be forgiven.
Mm.
So, could you explain to me from your perspective when we as Christians are out there and instead of trying to recruit new members or raise more money, when we're just taking care of people, how have you seen that play out in your ministry?
Yeah, man. I had to get because I moved into a new place, or even it's even harder actually if you've been in a place for a long time.
Hmm.
The way I started was I heard someone talk that said, if you don't make intentional choices to diversify the people around you, they'll all be the same. And so what will happen, the first charge was like to go down your phone and look at who you've called or texted in the last 2 weeks that's in any way significantly different from you, demographically, experientially, culturally, any way they're different from you. And then go to your contact list and go, how many people even in your contact list in your phone are significantly different from you?
Uh,
And then
uh-huh.
drive down your street and go, we naturally associate with people like us. We drive down roads with people like us. So
Mhm.
I just started driving down different roads. That was my first start. Like I'm just going about my regular day, but I'm going to drive
Yep.
through a different part of town, parallel roads in different parts of town. And as that started to expose me to different kinds of brokenness, like the Holy Spirit empowered heart began to kind of the regenerate spirit in me created concern and drove me out there. And it started all kinds of things. It started
Wow.
nonprofits, it started for profit businesses, it's built a ministry. But it all starts with that. Like, how do I find somebody to care about?
Wow. Ben, I really appreciate you sharing your experience and just telling us how God has kind of gotten you out into your community in the hopes that we can pray for those who are watching our videos and learning from us, how they can kind of maybe go a little out of their way to find the community that Christ has called them to serve with his love.
Yeah, totally, Dan. I mean, in the end, all the fruits of the Spirit follow on living well under the reign of God, which includes serving, loving,
Mhm.
ministering to your neighbor.
Awesome. Good stuff. I really appreciate you, Ben. Blessings on all that God has put you to do, buddy.
Thanks, Dan. Good to see you.